I have on the line Danny Bowes, the lead vocalist from the band Thunder. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. How you doing?
I'm very good, thank you, Lee. How are you?
Oh, excellent, excellent. Now, I know we're going to talk about the new album. We're also going to talk about the new single. But do you mind if I take you back just a little bit to the basis of the beginning of the band? Do you mind?
No, go for it.
Okay, if I've got this right, and, you know, I could be sacking a researcher here, you and Luke Morley, formed the band from Terraplane, is that right?
That's right. Terraplane was, oh dear, I'm thinking a long time ago now, so you'll have to pardon me if I get some of it wrong. But we started Terraplane, I think, in about 1980, and that lasted until about 87, 88. And then out of the ashes of that band, we broke it up and then started another one, and that was Thunder.
Now, Thunder, I guess, sort of started around about 89 and then went on to 2000. And then you seem to have taken a sabbatical and then came back in 2002 to 2009 and then took another break till 2011. And there's some stories around there, isn't there?
Yeah, really. Yeah. I think the first time we'd been going about 10 years, and during that time, you know, classic rock, the kind of music that we made, was very fashionable, and then it wasn't, and then grunge came in, and then it really wasn't very fashionable, and then it became very, very difficult. We ploughed a very lonely furrow, I think, for quite a few years. But so after about 10 years, I think we thought maybe we should knock it on the head and do something else. And then 2 years later, somebody offered us an absolute fortune to come back and play a tour. So we did that. And out of that, we decided to form our own record label because the internet had arrived in the middle of that 2 years. And so we started dealing with our fans direct and releasing our records direct to those fans. And that was fantastic for about 7 years. But of course, what nobody tells you when you form your own record label is it's really easy at the beginning when you've only got one album. But as you release more and more albums and DVDs and stuff, you end up having to grow a whole bunch of extra jobs. Yes. So things like stock control and money and doing the deals and licensing and all kinds of stuff, which gets increasingly less and less rock and roll and more corporate. So after about 7 years of doing that, I started to feel a little bit, as he who was doing all of those jobs, I started to feel a little bit like if I didn't stop, I would have a nervous breakdown or a heart attack or both. Yeah. So I basically told the band, and we knocked it on the head again. And then we came back 2 years later and did a show, and then we didn't do anything else for a bit. And then I think it was really 2013 when we were asked to play with Journey and Whitesnake on a tour. That we found it very difficult to refuse it, because I think by then we were all missing it very, very badly. The great thing about Thunder is it's a very easy band to be in, and it's also a very difficult band to not be in, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Because we get on very well as people, and we just laugh. So it's it's a great band to be in, and it's usually outside pressures that have caused the problems, but not musical, and certainly not egos, and certainly not personalities like most bands seem to suffer from. But so that was it really. I think 2013 we came back together with Journey and Whitesnake, and that really was very much a case of us thinking, well, you know something, we should make a new record, see what happens. And we decided to sign to a record label again rather than go down the self-release route. And the last 4 years have literally flown by. We've released 2 albums and a couple of live albums, and it's just gone from strength to strength, almost as if people found out about us while we were away and we got more famous, which was a bit of a weird one. But, you know, I'm not questioning it. I'm going to take it.
Too right. Now, the longevity of the band is incredible because, I mean, apart from Chris, the bass player, you are the original lineup. Luke, Ben and Gary, you are the original lineup.
Yeah, that's 28 years. Yeah, on and off with a couple of breaks. It's just the same basic 4. And Chris has been there 20 years. I mean, but he's still the new boy. You know, we haven't even told him what he did yet.
Now, there was one thing I didn't realise, and that was it wasn't until 2016 that you toured Australia. You played a show in Australia.
No, it was this year. It was early this year in 2017. We'd never been there before this year. Yeah.
Good God. And yet you've been virtually all around the world, haven't you?
Yeah, we've been pretty much everywhere else, but we hadn't been to Australia, and it was only really this year that we got the first chance to go, and even then it was a whistle-stop tour. I think we played something like 6 shows in 8 days, and then we came home again. And 4 days later we started the UK tour. So, you know, we were all visibly older when we got back than we were when we left.
I'll bet. Now, Rip It Up, 11th album. Number 3 in the UK album charts, I believe it got to.
Yeah.
It was, from what I understand, it was generated by sort of like a real sort of serious fan base saying, we want new stuff from you blokes. Your fans are incredibly loyal, aren't they?
They're voracious, I think is the word. I think it doesn't really matter how often we release a record. Literally 5 minutes after we've released it, they're banging on the door for another one. It's quite it's quite amazing. They are fantastic. They're loyal. They are very, very hands-on and very proactive in a way that I think is very rare these days. They just want everything. It's amazing. We announce a show, it sells out. You know, we make a record and tell them it's coming, and they all run down the road and buy it. It's quite incredible. We're very, very, very lucky.
Now, how important nowadays is the internet to a band like Thunder?
Oh, massively so. Massively so. It's the way that you communicate in the first instance with your fans. I mean, I think, like Iron Maiden, I think if you ever want to find out what's going on in the world of Iron Maiden, you can get it on radio stations, and you can get it, you know, on websites for magazines and those kind of online media type places. But the place that most people will go will be to the band directly. Yes. And it's the same thing for us. They will go to our Facebook page, they'll go to our website, and we make sure that all of the information is always up to date, and we react and interact with our fans on, you know, sometimes an hourly basis. We want to make sure that they know what's going on. We want to know what they think, because it helps us to make our decisions. So, you know, the internet is an amazing sort of two-way communication pipe, and vital in this day and age, because, you know, the media is not what it was, you know, and in some ways it's better.
Yeah. It's very instant. It's there, isn't it? As you say, you announce something, bang, everybody knows it straight away. The new single, Christmas Day, which we've been playing, which was a bit of a surprise when I first heard it, because I thought, really? How did that come about?
Well, to be honest with you, the last album was called Rip It Up. That was released earlier this year. The previous album, that was our comeback album. That was called Wonder Days, and we released that in 2015. During the course of the session of recording the Wonder Days album during the summer of 2014, we Luke presented this song to us, Christmas Day. And first of all, we were all a bit sort of shocked that it was called Christmas Day. Because my initial thought was, oh, God, here we go. It's going to be very cheesy. You know, it's going to be very jolly, and I just had visions of like Shakin' Stevens or something, you know, and it was really, really concerning. But of course, it couldn't have been further from the truth. It's a very sad, very poignant song, written from the perspective of somebody that's missing someone at a very supposedly happy time of the year. And I think when you look at the statistics, Christmas for some people, in fact for a lot of people, is not a happy time of the year. It just reminds them that their life isn't the way they'd like it to be. So you do hear of these horrible statistics of people, you know, high numbers of people who commit suicide at Christmas, which is really very, very sad indeed. But, you know, it's one of those shocking statistics that is not spoke about very often. But we when he gave us the song, my first thought was, I love the song. Why is it called Christmas Day, and can we change it? But he wouldn't do that, being the precious artist that he is, and we recorded it. But we had to find a time when we could release it, and it really took us until now to do it, because up until now, every Christmas we've been pre-selling something else, whether it be an album or a tour or whatever. So it felt like this was the right time to do it this year, and I think it has surprised a lot of people for the reasons we said before. I think everybody expected it to be quite cheesy. You know?
Yeah, and it's not. It is a very deep, it's very moving, and it's one of those songs that you sort of, you can't help it. You can't just walk by. You stop and you listen. You got to think, oh yeah, that's right. And I love that about it.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, when you make music, you have your own views about music. You have your own views about the music that you create and the stuff that you release, or inflict upon the world. So you have your own views about it, but you don't really know what people are going to think until they get a chance to hear it. And I definitely was very, very concerned that people may think it was some kind of a cheap attempt at trying to get a hit record. What was very interesting was that we played it to most radio stations, and they said, I like the B-side. What's that? Oh, it's a reworking of Love Walked In, one of your famous tracks. We'll play that. It's all worked out quite well, really.
Well, you got the best of both worlds, haven't you, really, there?
Well, that was my my little kind of saving grace, my little kind of goal line clearance, just in case it didn't work out with a Christmas song.
There's something else I wanted to ask you about. The 2015 European tour. You played Paris in November, just after the attacks. How did you feel doing that?
It was a very poignant, scary, but also fulfilling week. We were playing in Germany when the attack happened at the Bataclan. And the first thing that happened after everybody had got over the initial shock of the atrocity, I started getting phone calls from various media around the world saying, are you going to play the show in Paris?
Yeah.
Given the circumstances, are you going to do this? And it never entered my head that we wouldn't play the show. I mean, we arranged to play the show. There's an argument that says in the immediate aftermath of something like that, it's never going to be a safer place to play. But I think for us, the main reason for needing to go there was that we wanted to show solidarity with the people of Paris. I think you need to show that this kind of thing doesn't change the world. It just makes people even more resolved to resist it, and not to live in fear. So we need to make our statement, and we did, and the people that were there were incredibly grateful, incredibly shocked. Some of them very sad because they'd lost loved ones at the gig, friends, family, and whatever. And it was a very emotional gig. I mean, it's a fantastic show, but the after show, the meet and greet afterwards was very, very emotional. It was like a massive outcrying and of love and shock and solidarity. I mean, it was an amazing event, and I have to say I'm very pleased that we did it, albeit under tragic circumstances.
Yeah, all power to you guys for doing it. I think that was an amazing thing to do. Now, Thunder are an arena band. I mean, I know you can do smaller gigs and that, but you seem to shine when you're in an arena. Do you enjoy that feeling of being up there in front of all those people?
I'll be absolutely honest with you, Lee. I don't care how many are there. It can be 3 men and a dog. As long as they look like they're enjoying themselves, I'm a happy bunny. It doesn't matter whether it's 3,000, 30,000, 300,000. I think we're very lucky that we've got very good tunes that work well in a live environment, whether it be small or large. And I think because we are always looking for an audience to meet us in the middle, I call it that because I think, we like to think that the audience is going to be excited before we go on, excited to see us and excited to have us perform in front of them. Because we are the same. But we like to think that everybody will start off with a kind of a baseline of commitment, if you like, excitement, which will only be enhanced as everybody eggs everybody else on. So the audience is excited, we're excited, and between us we move that up to stage 2, and then the show builds it. And then we put in all the kind of interactive stuff because I am power mad. I do like the audience join in, and if they don't join in, I'll go amongst them and force them to do it. So it's a very much an interactive experience, and by the end, we're just like a collective Vesuvius moment. The old lava is coming out of the top, and it's very, very good. It's a great show, and we love to put it on, and we love to see the audience get more and more and more into it. So it doesn't really matter how big it is, because it's always good. The outcome is always going to be the same. When we did a tour with Journey and Whitesnake, I told you about that earlier. The guy from Journey who looked after the show, the production manager, because we were the first band on out of 3. Journey, obviously, big famous band, and then you've got Whitesnake, with Lord Olivier singing, hello Daniel, hello Daniel. Come here, how are you? Beautiful, lovely voice. He's always been lovely to us, so I shouldn't take the mickey out of him. But he, they're big and famous and stuff, and we never thought of ourselves in that way. So when I had the conversation with the production manager, he said, well, there's 2 bands to get on, and there's not a lot of time, and you may not get a sound check. And I said, don't worry about it, it won't change the outcome. And he said, what do you mean? I said, we're going to give you a thoroughly good kicking regardless of whether we get a sound check or not. Once we get it in front of the audience, we are going to go for it. So, and you'll see. So, he kind of shrugged, and that was the end of it. At the end of the tour, he came to me and he said, I can't imagine what you would have done to us had you had a sound check every night.
Oh, what a lovely compliment.
Oh, no, it was. It was fantastic. Very gracious and very lovely. And I just smiled and said, I think I'm going to buy you a pint of beer. It went. It was very good.
So, the future. Have we got a tour to look forward to? Are you going to come down anywhere near Spain?
Oh, we'd love to. We get offers to come to Spain all the time. At the moment, we don't really have a way within our schedule to make it work. We've tried several times over the last couple of years, and we just can't seem to find a way to make it fit in. But we do have a lot of promoters who are very excited about having the band play in Spain, and we are extremely excited about the idea of doing it. It's just a case of making the schedule work. So at the moment, all I can reveal is that there are no solid plans to go, but there is a massive eagerness and a willingness to make it happen. So I think it's a case of watch this space, and as soon as we can get there, you can rely on the fact that we will. And we're going to drink some of that beer and soak up some of that sun. We absolutely love going to Spain.
Brilliant. That would be great. It'd be lovely to see you down here. And another album after Rip It Up?
Yeah. I mean, we've got commitments now. We're just about to go into rehearsals for our 2 Christmas shows in the UK, both sold out, going to be great. That's our kind of end-of-year knees up, really. Once we've done those, then we'll take a break for Christmas. Then we go straight into rehearsals for a different show in Japan in January. Going to play 3 shows in Osaka and 2 in Tokyo. And then we come back from that. We get about 4 or 5 days off, and then we start again in Germany, Holland and Austria. And that takes us right up to the end of January. And then I think we get about a week off, and then we fly to Miami in America, where we're going to do a Monsters of Rock cruise.
Oh,
which,
yes.
I must say, at the moment, I'm slightly in 2 minds as to whether or not I'm looking forward to it or dreading it. The idea of being trapped on a boat for a week is I can't make my mind up at the moment. So I'll have to let you know how that goes afterwards. But I think once we've done that, then I think we're going to get into the next record. I think come middle of February, I think we'll probably take a short holiday, and then that'll be it. Nose to the grindstone. Let's go. New record. Here we come.
Brilliant. Okay. Danny, I've got to say thank you so much for your time, for talking with me. It's been an absolute pleasure. All the best with the tour. Maybe one day we will see you here in Spain. And
yes,
all the best with the new album.
Absolutely. Thanks, Lee. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Take care now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.